our lovely Daria is a cinephile. Isn't that what you call it?
Yeah.
You love movies. You love reviewing movies. And you try to watch them on our behalf as much as you can.
Yeah. So this weekend, my dad and I went and saw Conclave. I do want to preface this. It is a commentary on the Catholic Church. We know we have, Catholic brothers and sisters that listen. We love you. I'm just talking about a movie here. All right.
Very good. Yeah.
But I loved it.
Did you?
9.5 out of 10.
Whoa.
And there's
I
a
am
lot of
surprised.
big name guys in there.
Was stellar. Like the cinematography, the artistry. I mean, one of the best done movies I think I've seen this century. I can't even describe just how well done it is. Within 5 minutes, my dad leans over like, this is a very well done movie. Like, yes, it is.
So beyond the dialogue and the plot, you're saying it was just beautiful.
It was beautiful. Yeah. I mean, the camera work, the directing, the editing, the soundtrack, everything is just perfect. It's harmonious. Very, very well done.
Did we know it was going to be that big? Was there like a lot of talk about it?
I went in knowing hardly anything about it. I just looked up the premise, so I knew, based on it's about the Catholic Church. It's based on a 2016 novel of the same name. But I really went in blind, which is actually my favorite way to go see a movie.
Now, if I recall, it kind of describes the behind-the-scenes work of the selection of the next pope.
Yeah, so it opens with the death of the previous pope, and then
What's the era, by the way? What are we talking?
It's modern.
Oh, okay.
Like the novel came out in 2016. It's pretty modern day.
It's supposed to be like today.
Yeah, today.
Okay.
So it opens with the death of the previous pope. The cardinals are quite upset, and now we have to go through the process of selecting a new pope. And so you have the head guy. I think he's the dean. Sorry, I don't know the names for all the positions, but
Sure.
He's presiding over the conclave, and there are a lot of politics at play.
Oh, yeah.
There are certain people that really probably should not be pope, but are very popular and are gunning for the papacy. And this guy just kind of makes it his mission to kind of weed out these really big sin issues that these guys are covering up. Because there's some that absolutely disqualify them from being pope. He finds out stuff that the previous pope was hiding. It's very much an intrigue, almost like a political thriller. It's just from beginning to end. It's so riveting. And what I think is important about this movie is that it's a commentary, not just on the Catholic Church, but I think the church at large. I think it has a lot to say about what the church is and what it should be. This movie is very special in that typically when you see Christianity depicted in film, it's either, very cliched, very hokey, production value is not great, like, look how perfect life is. Or you have just the Christians are terrible, we're going to make fun of them ad nauseum.
Yeah.
This has very high production value and kind of lands somewhere in the middle. My interpretation, and my dad agreed, is that this was made by someone who is very critical of the church. Critical as in we see issues and we want it to get better, but also has a lot of love and reverence for the church.
Good. That sounds just about the right balance.
It was. It was almost neutral, just kind of almost an outsider looking in. These are issues that we see maybe plague a lot of Christian institutions, and we think that things should get better. This is not like the Da Vinci Code, which is just gleefully trouncing all over accepted Christian doctrine.
Yeah, I'm glad of that assessment because far too often, you're right, the church is poorly depicted in a positive light, as in, if it was perfect from the beginning, Paul would have had nothing to write.
Yes.
Yeah.
Virtually every epistle is because there was a problem. And not just like small problems. In Corinth, you had some guy that was like dating his stepmom.
Yeah, and and
he was like, "What are you doing?" There
are some pretty big issues that some similar to that the cardinals are dealing with. I do need to say though, I'm not going to give away spoilers. If you want to know more information, because this is really important to you, feel free to email me. I will have a more in-depth conversation about particulars. There is something that I do think a lot of Christians are going to get upset about towards the end. It's a big reveal. And when this thing happened on screen, both my dad and I at the same time, we just kind of groaned like, oh, did they really put that in there? But then as this part of the movie started to unfold, I had a change of heart because the way it was presented was less in your face than it could have been. It was very different. I thought it was handled beautifully. And even though it is something that I think will offend a lot of Christians, my dad was actually kind of upset, which is fine. It's valid. I think there's multiple ways to interpret this particular aspect of the film. I don't think it was done in a way that was necessarily and inherently against Christian doctrine, if that makes sense. So again, if you want to know what this is specifically, feel free to email me, daria.swisher@moody.edu. But I think that this is actually a really important movie for Christians to see. There's a lot of self-reflection that I think can be done about the larger church, about yourself. This is going to make you uncomfortable. There are things that are going to offend you. And there are plenty of ideas that you feel free to reject or accept as many as you want, because there are plenty of ideas I think you should reject. But there's also a lot I think you should sit with. And overall, it's just incredibly well done. I'm really hoping it cleans up at the Oscars this year.
What's the age range you'd recommend?
So it is PG, but I would recommend...
PG?
Yeah.
When's the last time that happened?
I would definitely recommend this for 13 and up, just because I think any younger than that, they're going to be bored out of their minds.
Gotcha.
So it is. There's not a whole lot in terms of this is not appropriate. It's just this is not a movie that's aimed at kids or the whole family.
That's wonderful. Thank you for the review. I'm a little surprised, but now that I even reflect on, you ladies probably don't remember when Benedict XVI was selected as the new pope, but it was a dramatic time. I mean, all of the cardinals from all across the globe are sequestered in the Sistine Chapel.
And there's a camera trained down the chimney to see if the white smoke comes out.
Because there's a certain, every time they vote, smoke, they have to send out smoke through the chimney.
So
right?
they burn the ballots.
That's what it is.
That's how. I don't know if that's how they actually do it. That's how they did it in,
I think it
in
is
the movie.
how they do it. Yeah. And so one of them will be the next pope. It's wild. It was really a fascinating thing as just a person who loves history to watch.